Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Before we jump into things today, just a quick reminder to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. We've got so much great content coming, and we really want to hear your opinions, so definitely leave a comment with your thoughts as you listen.
Yeah, please do. We love reading those.
Definitely. So usually, when we talk about the Rugby World Cup, the real drama, like those defining tactical reveals, they usually happen, maybe a month or two before kickoff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, teams are usually so cagey. You're waiting for those final warm-up games just to see who's actually ready.
Right. But right now, we're looking at a situation that has just completely flipped that script. I mean, the inaugural 2026 Nations Championship, it was billed to all of us as this commercial reset, right?
Yeah, a way to keep fans engaged between the World Cup cycles.
Exactly. But accidentally, it has totally forced the world's top teams to reveal their absolute secret blueprints for the 2027 World Cup in Australia. And they're doing it like a full 12 months early.
It's wild. They literally have nowhere to hide.
No, they don't. So for you listening, these upcoming July tests, they aren't just, summer warm-ups anymore. They are the ultimate spoiler alert for who is actually going to lift the Webb Ellis Cup. So, okay, let's unpack this. We have this brand new calendar, and it's forcing a massive early reveal.
It really is. It's a completely unprecedented window into the minds of these international head coaches. I mean, the new structure agreed on by Six Nations Rugby and Sanzar, it hands every single leading contender 6 Tier 1 test matches.
Which is huge.
Right. 6 top-flight games against the absolute best opposition from the opposite hemisphere, split across July and November.
Because normally, coaches can use the year before World Cup to run a bit of a shell game. They tinker with combinations, they hide their weaknesses.
Yeah, they blood a few young guys quietly while the veterans secure the wins.
Exactly. But suddenly, when you're contractually locked into 6 heavy-duty matches against the best teams on the planet, you can't fake it. It's like a high-stakes poker game where the dealer just unexpectedly forces everyone to play with their cards face up.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. You have to declare a direction.
Yeah.
But what's really forcing their hands isn't just the sheer quality of the opposition, it's the destination itself. Australia in 2027 is a physiological crucible.
Oh, totally different from France in 2023.
Entirely different. France was mostly, predictable, temperate autumn weather, sustainable for heavy workloads. But Australia, the geography dictates the strategy here.
Right, because Perth hosts the opening matches in October with that Mediterranean climate. So we're talking like 22 to 28 degrees Celsius, maybe 40 to 50% humidity, which is manageable.
Very manageable, yeah.
But then for the knockout stages, the quarterfinals move to Brisbane. And suddenly you are in this subtropical sweatbox where the humidity spikes into the 60s and 70s. Right. I really want to dig into the mechanics of that. How does an invisible thing like humidity actually rewrite a playbook?
Well, it fundamentally changes the biological reality of human performance, especially when we talk about recovery and muscular attrition. Think about how the body cools itself.
Sweating, right.
Exactly. In a dry warmth, like in Perth, sweat evaporates quickly off the skin, and that evaporation cools you down. But when you drop a 115 kilogram forward into the heavy 70% humidity of Brisbane,
sweat doesn't evaporate.
No, the air is already totally saturated with moisture, so the sweat just drips. They physically cannot cool down.
Wow.
Because the core temperature stays so dangerously high, the player's heart has to pump double time just to push blood to the skin to try and shed the heat. And that steals oxygenated blood right away from the working muscles.
So you're getting rapid dehydration.
Rapid dehydration, intense soft tissue stress. And here's the key. That kind of heat saps fitness from an older forward pack exponentially faster than a younger one. An older body just cannot clear the lactic acid fast enough between scrums.
Which means any team trying to, defy biological gravity is walking right into a trap. And that brings us to the team doing exactly that. The back-to-back world champions, South Africa.
Yes.
The Springboks. Rassie Erasmus just named his 37-man group for this nation's championship. And the demographic data is pretty staggering. I mean, 57% of that squad, 21 players, are over 30 years old.
He was an incredibly veteran group.
Yeah. 12 of them have more than 50 caps. Yeah. And they rely on that famous bomb squad model, right?
Yeah.
Bringing massive physical forwards off the bench to just crush people. Can that survive 70% humidity?
What's fascinating here is the sheer conflict between biological logic and Springbok history. On paper, the bomb squad cannot function in Brisbane with an aging pack. Sustaining that carrying load in France is one thing, but doing it with burning lungs in the subtropics.
It's a completely different sport.
Right, and we're already seeing the cost. If you watch Aben Etzebeth, the most capped Springbok ever, look at his body language in the closing 20 minutes of recent tests.
Yeah.
You can literally see the toll of dragging that career into a fourth World Cup cycle. He looks depleted.
He really does. But I have to push back a little here because, I mean, if any team has this weird superpower for defying age logic, it's South Africa.
They do have a history of it, yeah.
Like Deon Forey debuted at 35 and played 76 minutes in the 2023 final at age 37. Oz Durant won World Cups 12 years apart. Schalk Brits came out of retirement at 38. So is Erasmus just relying on history repeating itself, or is he, like, trapped by the loyalty he owes these guys?
That is the defining question of his tenure right now. He's essentially spent the political latitude from the 2023 win on squad continuity, which is psychologically understandable. You want to be loyal to the guys who win you the trophy.
Of course.
And their 2027 Pool B draw Italy, Georgia, Romania is very navigable. That might be giving him a false sense of comfort. But his medical staff knows these bodies have absorbed 4 more years of car crash level attrition.
Right.
So these July selections will finally strip away the PR. Who is he actually protecting, and which under-25 players does he genuinely trust?
Okay, so South Africa is hoping veteran muscle memory survives the heat. But if you want to see the exact opposite, a biologically optimized squad look at Felipe Contepomi's Argentina.
Oh, it's night and day.
It really is. The Pumas have the cleanest reading on the board, only 6 players over 30. But they still have 10 guys with 50-plus caps.
Yeah, Contepomi has masterfully executed seamless succession planning. He's pushing under-25s into the starting lineup without burning down the structural experience that got them to the 2023 semifinal.
Which is so hard to balance. Hey, really quickly, just jumping in here to remind you, listening, if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description. We've got so much more analysis like this coming your way. Anyway, you were saying about Argentina's fixtures?
All right, so Argentina has a huge situational advantage. Their July fixtures are at home against Scotland, Wales, and England. So Contepomi has the political freedom and the home field comfort to genuinely harden his new players without panicking.
Yeah, the squad is already tournament coherent. The only real crack I see is maybe tight head prop depth for those humid pools, but structurally, they are way ahead.
Without a doubt. They have clarity while others are scrambling.
Which perfectly transitions us to the rebuilders.
Yeah.
The Southern Hemisphere giants undergoing massive identity crises. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the hosts, Australia. Joe Schmidt has 29 players under 30, only 5 with 50-plus caps.
It's incredibly fresh.
It is. But then, and this is the wild part, Joe Schmidt is leaving immediately after July. And Les Kiss takes over in August to run the team through to 2027. How do you build momentum when the architect leaves halfway through pouring the concrete?
It's a massive systemic risk. You're asking players to unlearn one philosophy and adopt another with barely a year to go. And they lack experience. Only 5 guys with 50-plus caps is the lowest of any top contender.
And why is that specific cap number so critical?
Because of the psychology of knockout rugby. When you're in the 75th minute of a tight quarterfinal, the crowd is deafening, your lungs are burning. You need guys who have navigated that specific panic before.
Right, because you can't simulate a 75th minute World Cup deficit on a Tuesday afternoon at training.
You absolutely cannot. So Les Kiss's selections in November will tell us everything. Will he panic and recall older players just for their caps, or will he stick with Schmidt's youth movement?
And right across the Tasman Sea, New Zealand has their own coaching whiplash. Dave Rennie just took over the All Blacks from Scott Robertson. And Rennie inherited the smallest squad of the contenders, just 33 players. But the craziest stat, only 4 of them are under 25.
Yeah, that's incredibly uncharacteristic for New Zealand.
Right. Their youth pipeline is usually the envy of the world. It just totally stalled.
Well, that happens when a coach is under immediate pressure to get results. Robertson's job was on the line, so he defaulted to proven veterans. You stop taking risks on 22-year-olds because one dropped ball can cost you your job.
So Rennie is stepping into an absolute pressure cooker. His July 4th opener against France in Christchurch is going to show exactly how aggressively he plans to reshape that squad.
Exactly. It's his first declarable strategic move.
Okay, so let's cross the equator. The Northern Hemisphere challengers are gambling heavily to survive this Australian tour. France, under Fabien Galthié, has the largest squad, 47 players, and the youngest with 14 under 25.
Yes, and while they're back-to-back Six Nations champs, they did hide some defensive frailties against Scotland and England. Raw talent hasn't quite converted into reliable knockout resilience yet.
But wait, hold on, I need to stop you there because we just spent the first 10 minutes talking about how older bodies can't handle the heat and youth is an advantage. Now you're saying France's youth is a liability?
Ah, that is a brilliant point. But we have to distinguish between cardiovascular running fitness and muscular isometric fitness.
Oh, like in the scrums.
Precisely. In the open field, the young French backs will be amazing in the heat. But rugby games are won in the set piece. When a 22-year-old front five packs down in Australian humidity, their bodies haven't adapted to clearing lactic acid while under crushing static pressure.
Ah, so they might be gym strong, but they burn out fast.
Exactly. Older props know how to conserve energy. Young ones gas out by their 12th scrum. France needs these matches desperately to harden those young forwards.
That makes total sense. Meanwhile, Ireland's Andy Farrell took a sledgehammer to his squad's age. Half the squad was over 30 in 2023. Now it's only 13.
He's navigated a remarkable transition while still winning titles. But his existential risk is what sports scientists call hardening time.
Meaning the time it takes to get those under 25 guys used to the brutal reality of test rugby.
Yes, especially the back five of his forward pack. Farrell's July squad will show if he's willing to throw them into the deep end against Southern Hemisphere violence.
Which brings us to England. And honestly, looking at the source notes, I'm struggling to reconcile this. England just finished a bleak fifth in the 2026 Six Nations, including that first ever loss to Italy.
It was a rough tournament.
Awful. Yet Steve Borthwick has incredible demographic data, 30 under 30, and 11 players with 50-plus caps. It's like he has a garage full of pristine Formula One parts, but the car stalls on the track. Is it systemic, or does he just lack the courage to play the under 25s?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is absolutely an issue of coaching courage. Mathematically, his squad is perfectly designed to peak for a World Cup.
So what does he do this July?
He has to start those under 25s against South Africa in the opener. He can't just rotate them in during lower stakes autumn games. He has to throw them into the fire right now.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a ton of ground, but the core takeaway for you listening is that the timeline of international rugby has fundamentally shifted. The 2026 Nations Championship accidentally compressed the whole World Cup cycle. November tests form, but these upcoming July matches, they will reveal the permanent personnel choices for 2027.
Precisely. Form is temporary, but squad architecture age profiles, caps, that rarely changes this close to a tournament.
Exactly. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. If squad architecture is permanent, what happens when the immovable object of South Africa's deep veteran loyalty finally meets the unstoppable physiological force of Australia's subtropical humidity? Will the greatest generation of Springboks be undone not by an opponent, but by the thermometer in Brisbane? Let us know what you think in the comments.
That is the multi-million-dollar question for 2027.
It really is. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession YouTube channel and newsletter from the link in description.